another red oak. The log itself is 16 inches at that end, 18 inches over at the other end. So I'm going to check my chart to see what kind of a cant we're going to get out of that. And it's a pretty nice looking log. It's fairly straight. There's no knots on the outside or features for those of you who want to, you know, add your little 2 cents. But anyway, I'm going to cut this thing up into slabs. I'm not going to quarter saw this one because I'm still looking to finish my pile of 1x. Okay, so when I look at my chart there, you see 16 inches, I should be able to get an 11-inch cant out of that. Now what I'm after today is 1x10 and 1x6. 1x10 and 1x6. The upper end over there towards the head of the machine, I've got a 9-inch revealer face wood, or I mean the grain of the log for lumber. At this end I've already got the 11 inches, so I'm going to take 1 more inch out of that, so I'm down to where I need to be at, and that should still give me plenty of room to get an 11-inch cant out of that. that board that I just took off of there, I'll have to resaw that then and get the edges off of it. But I'm down to more than 11 inches at the moment. 13, 11. I've got 12 inches down at this end here, over here, and I've got 9 inches up at the other end, so I need to get down 1 more inch and then I'll have a full cant that I'm looking for, the 11-inch cant. That end up there has a little bit of the outer layer of the wood. I forget what you call it, I can't even think this morning. So I'll take 1 inch more off of that to square that cant up. guys, that's still, I know it aggravates people when I say this, but that's still the same blade that I've been using for the past 2 weeks, okay? Nice straight cut, got a full inch all the way down there, nothing goofy at each end, so still doing good. I'm expecting it's slowing down as far as the cut goes, and I'm going to have to put a new blade on there soon. But I just want to finish cutting this log and then I'll probably put another blade on. I was sharpening blades all week, so I'm almost caught up now. Alright, so I'm right at 11 inches there. There's a tiny bit of the sapwood at that end. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to roll it and keep cutting. you want to think about this as you're cutting. When I measure up that face, I've got 12 inches. So I'm looking for an 11-inch cant. That means that I can cut the other side, the side I'm on now. I can still cut that down 1 more inch and still be within my 11-inch cant that I'm looking for. So the bottom that rests on the bunk is 11 inches. This side here that's facing the camera is 12 inches, so I can take an inch off of that. Right now I've got about 9 inches on the top of the cant there, and I want 11, so I'm going to take 1 more inch off of that. This board here I'll be able to use. The board that I just threw over there, I call that a flitch. You could use it probably for 1x2, but I'm not interested in 1x2s today. I want 1x6 and 1x10. Got about 10 3/4 or 10 1/2 inches at this end. The other end is 11. I'm going to call that quits there. I'm going to roll it 1 more time and then get the cant out of that, and then I'll decide which face I want to use to cut on. was looking for an 11-inch cant, and I have it all the way from this end down to where you see the wane in the wood there, okay? So there's probably going to take 2 boards out of there that I'll be able to get maybe 1x4 out of. So I'm just going to cut 2 1-inch boards out of that now, and then I'll go from there as far as how I'm going to cut up the other wood that I want. So just keep in mind 1x6 and 1x10 is what I'm after. Let me show you, take a look at this here. Alright, so that's right now, let's see here, let me get the tape measure so I'm sure what I'm saying. Okay, this top face is 11 inches. This side one is 10 inches. So if I roll this one turn, I can get my 10-inch boards out of there. Now either way I'm going to end up with a wane out of something here. Either I'm going to have it in 1 or 2 boards from this side, or I'm going to have it on 1 or 2 boards from that side. The wane isn't the headache. The headache that I'm having right now is this. Okay, what do I do with this? Now, if you look at that knot, that's a pretty big knot and it's rotted, so it's not, you know, what we call that a black knot, right? But it's rotted black knot. So it's not really desirable. Now I can get probably a 1x6 out of that. It'll be pretty close, but I could get it. I could keep cutting this way, or I could flip it and hopefully get 6 boards that are 1x10 from here down. Now if you look at the end of the log, let's see, I know that it's painted, but if you look in here, there's another little imperfection there that I might end up having in some of the other boards. However, I don't know if that's just from cutting the tree down and it pulled like the splinters. When you cut a tree off, sometimes the splinters will pull from way up in. I don't know, so I don't know how far down that goes. So that's this end. Other than that, it looks good. That's not a crack, that's just the chainsaw mark there. At the other end, there's a little bit of a mark here, but it's out near the sapwood, so that's not going to be any kind of a big deal either. So really we should be able to work from up here down. That's what I'm going to try to do, see what happens. So I'm going to turn it one turn to get the other face up, and I'll cut the 10-inch side, which is this side right here. I want to cut that side. And we'll see how many nice 1x10s we get out of that. Remember I said it's a toss-up. Now what I'm thinking that I should be able to do here is I should be able to get, I don't know, 3 or 4 1x10 out of that side. Now don't forget what I had said there. At this end there's a wane on the opposite edge. But that log is 9'6" long. I'm only needing really 8 foot. So see what happens. That's a nice looking 1x10 there. So we got one. We do have a wane on that edge, but I can still get my 8-footer out of it. Another good 1x10. another good one there. I'll take a good look at this. This one has a couple of pins. Actually, they're less than, yeah, they're pin knots. Very small, less than ½ an inch. At this end, I'm down into that little mark we saw there, and apparently that was a little imperfection. It wasn't the splintered tree I said. But you're only down in there at the most 2½ inches. So you can see there's a little bit of a dark mark. Again, I got a 9½ foot board. I'm going to be trimming them down to 8 inches sometime. So I'm still got another good board there. So I got 2 good ones there, one there, that's 3 so far, 1x10s. So we're going to see what happens here. Guys, one of the things that I've never said before, I'll just show you this. I'll just shut that off so you can hear me talking. When I'm cutting, okay, what I'm watching is this, where this blade comes out of the wood on this side. And what I'm looking at is I'm looking to see if the cut is wavering, thickening, thinning out, or what it's doing. As long as it looks like an inch to me, and I'm pretty good at judging the inch, I just keep going. So that's why I'm still using this saw blade. As long as it's cutting a straight board for me, I'm going to use it. So that's what I'm watching when you see me looking sort of underneath the saw. I'm not looking to see if anything's dripping because we're not hooked up to coolant. There's no coolant on there at all. It's I don't know, it's about 38 out today. The snow's getting wet rather than powdery, but I'm just saying, you know, that's what I'm watching. This very edge here where the saw blade comes out of the wood, that's what I'm watching. Just, I thought you might need to know that. Not, doesn't matter, I said it anyway. Hard to decide what to do here with this sometimes. The cant that's left after I take this board off of here is going to be a 7-inch cant. So I could take one more 1x10 off and then turn and start taking 1x6s or I can continue with the 1x10s. I want to take a look at the logging. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Remember I showed you this knot on this side here? Now it looks like I can get 2 more boards out of here before that knot is bothering me. If that knot shoots downhill inside, I'm going to get 2 nice, maybe even 3 nice boards out of that. If the knot goes straight in, which it looks like it might, I don't know, it's hard to tell. Because it's not too oblong, it's a little oblong, so it could be going down, but if I take 2, maybe 3 boards out of there yet, that gives me 2 or 3 more 1x10. And the wider the boards cost more, so, you know, more money for me. However, I can only cut 1 more board and then have 6 inches left. So looking at this, if I take 2 1x10s out of it, I'm down to 1x5s. I'm out of the range of what I'm needing for the order today. But I might take that chance. So, see, here's the other problem now. We have another knot here. If I take 1x6s out of that, I'm going to have a knot on this side because I have to turn it so that faces up. I'm going to have a knot on the first board I cut, and we know I'm going to have a knot on the last board I cut. What's in between there, I don't know. So I don't know. It's a little hard what to, to say what to do with it. I will say this though, the 1x10 is still looking good down through here. Although there's a couple knots showing up, but some people like the knots in the wood, and especially when they're sound like that, they're only little pin knots. These are small knot. This is more like a black knot, but it looks like it might stay, so I'd say it's a fixed knot. And most people cut up red oak anyway, you have the smaller pieces for furniture, but I'm trying to get nice full-length boards. Judging by the top here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 1 more 1x10, and then I'm going to flip this and cut 1x6s, and here's why. I've got knots up there, I've got knots in the middle, I've got that imperfection at that end. So if I take 1 more 1x10 out of that, I'm going to run the risk of having 1 knot in my 1x6 right there and 1 knot at the other end. So let's take a gamble and see what happens with it. And this is what sawing is about. You try to find the best part and which way to cut it. So I'm going to take 1 more 1x10 out of there, and then I'm going to flip that and cut 1x6. You can see on this side here, I'm already getting some black stain in there. Again, some people are okay with that, depends on what you're making. But I'd say that's the last 1x10 I'm getting out of that. And I certainly would not call that a really good board. The other 4 I got are good, but I'm taking that as a 1x10. I'm not going to cut that any further for now. I think the decision to turn that will be a good one, but we'll see what happens. Once you have the log cut down to a cant like that one is, and you use the cant hook to turn it, you don't want to dig the hook in because you'll have surface imperfections. And we're going to talk about that when I do my next Eastern White Pine video about grading. So I'll talk to you a little bit about that later. For now, I'm just saying I'm taking it easy when I'm not jamming that thing in there, and I'm picking it up as lightly as I can to turn it. Has that knot in it, but I just measured it, and guess what? 8 feet ends up right there. So that was a good idea. I should have thought of that ahead of time to measure that to help me make the decision whether I should flip it or not, but I didn't. But I'm glad I did, because now I got some clear boards here and I don't have to worry about that knot anyway. That's a beautiful board there, guys. Nice 1x6. Well, we were looking good there. Now, this is a nice board all the way up through here. However, this is the knot I was worried about, but now all of a sudden this showed up. So it's lost in the next one pretty much, although there'll be a little hole in the next board. You can still sell 1x6 is 6 foot long. Not happy with that, but it's amazing how this knot 2 boards ago was rotted. Here it's sound. This knot didn't show up, and here it's rotted. So this is what you find, you know, when you're working with wood like this. A little bit of a stain there. Okay. Overall, it's a nice log. We're getting some fairly decent boards out of there. They're not premium, but they're good. Also, guys, I don't know if you noticed, I started speeding up a little bit as I go through the 1x6 because there's not so much, you know, of a drag on anything. Not that the motor can't handle a wide board. It's just, it's easier for me to run the carriage through. So I'm going to just keep going with 1x6 now. Got some knots in this one, but still, worst came to worst, I could get a 1x4 out of that without any knots in it. Now at this point here, if we wanted to, I believe that's a 6-inch face there, we could turn this cant if we wanted to see what kind of boards we get the other way. But don't forget, I got that big knot on the bottom side, and I don't want to turn it and end up cutting across that knot. I'd rather cut down to it, and hopefully the inside edge might be sound, so we'll see what happens. Bullseye, where are you? Alright. Has some knots in it, but they're all sound knots. Okay. Looks like we made the right choice there. Now at this point, I'm down to, that's a 5-inch cant up and down, and it's 6 inches across. So I'm at a point now where I'd have to go to 1x4s or else continue with the 1x6s. So I'm just going to stay with the 1x6s and see what we come up with. Bad. Knots that are in there are down. Here we have a crack in the wood though now, in the center there. I don't know if, looks like I don't know if that's from an annual ring or not. But either way, you can see that crack starting up in there. That I showed you in the previous board is still in this one, but it's half the size, so this next one may not even give any. Let me show you something here though. And you remember that knot that was in the back there, so now we're down there to it, and I should end up having that knot in every board from here down. The good thing, I don't know if you heard what I said there, but now we're down to that knot. Remember the knot's on the opposite side on the bottom showing up there. So now we're down to it. So that's still sound, so I can get a nice board out of this. If I cut all the way down, and I'm going to, we should get to a point where the knot gets worse and worse now. So it looks like there's 3 more boards left, so we should get one more decent board out of there. Then the other 2 will have that big knot showing. But I can still, like I say, cut 1x4 out of it. see the knot is still sound on both sides there. So we're still good yet. That's amazing. These logs never cease to amaze me. So you saw how bad that knot was in the beginning there. It's sound here, it's sound there, but down here on the last board, I don't know if you can see that there, but it's starting to get a little weird. Let me undo the dog and we'll take a look at that. Yeah, isn't that something? There was only about an inch of board before that knot was sound already. So, only one board there. So we made a good call. I can't take any credit for that other than, you know, you look at the knots, you try and determine whether they're going to go all the way through or not. It's hard to tell because this looks like it would be going down there a couple of inches, only to find out that it was, you know, 1 inch. So it's tough to tell, you know, when you're making the cut. So, and when you go to buy Eastern White Pine or Douglas Fir or whatever, I don't care what anybody tells you, there's no secret to these guys at the sawmill sawing. I mean, yeah, they have a laser and they do the best they can do and they turn logs to look at it, and I'm sure there's a lot of those sawyers who know what's going on and can instinctively do what I was talking about here. But nonetheless, the log can always make a fool out of you. So we were lucky here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 1x6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1x10s. Yeah, if I count this one, it'll be 10. So I'll count that, even though the opposite side's not good, because let's face it, if this side is sound, once this is finished, you could put that as a tabletop down if you wanted to, or whatever you decide to do with it. And people will look through them anyway when the time comes. A good furniture maker is going to look at the wood before he uses it. So is a carpenter. In fact, when you're putting studs up, every carpenter knows you got to check them for bows or a bend to see which way to put the board 2x4s when you're studding a wall out. Oh, and the other things I wanted to say was I fixed this. Let me climb in here. It was only a matter of 4 screws. I only found one. I could not find the other ones. I put them in and I put a serrated, or actually an electrical washer on there that has the, I don't know if you can see that thing. You can see the serrated, can you see that? Yeah, the serrated washer. But I'll tell you what, on this side, on the other side here, on this side here, this is the one that initially fell off. And guys, I just want to tell you, you know, look, I'm not heartless, and I know a lot of you guys are the same way, but sometimes we can get a little too easy on people who are not giving us what we paid for. Now, I'm not complaining about Woodmizer. I wouldn't trade this Woodmizer for nothing. There is nothing out there that I think is better. However, that's my own opinion after using it for a couple of months. But what I will say is, these bolts were not tight, because I tightened these bolts just a good snug. I'm not talking, I mean, they're only little tiny metric bolts, less than 3/16. I think they're like 1/8 of an inch bolt. All I did was put a little extra snug on them. Nothing fancy, and they've been tight now for, you know, 2 months roughly since I put them on. So that's the only problem. It's not a big deal, for crying out loud. You know, I realize some of the guys made comments saying that, you know, maintenance or do a check, a pre-flight check. You know, you get a little tired of that. I don't want to have to do a pre-flight check, because when you think about it, when I bought my truck, if I have to do a pre-flight check on that sucker every day, I ain't gonna buy that brand. But nonetheless, it's still, they're right. I mean, you should, when you have equipment. I can tell you this, I own some scrapers that were about $300,000 or $400,000 back in the 70s. And if somebody got in that machine, or they got into one of my 10-wheelers or whatever we had, and I saw them not check oil, I fired them. So I guess I should do the same thing to myself here. The other thing I want to say is, all of you guys who told me that I should not leave tension on, especially the guy who said he even takes it off at lunch, you are the one who made me take this off of here, because I'm that obsessive, just like you are. So now I've been taking the tension off the blade. You've seen this blade cut through. I just cut, you know, how many boards did I say I had there? 15 boards. Just cut through all 15 boards without a hitch. Not one wave. The boards are beautiful. So to me, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to go with this. You do not need coolant, especially if it's cold out. I can't say for the dead of summer, but you do not need coolant to keep a straight blade. But you do need to take the tension off at night. Period. That's my opinion, and I'm hanging on to it. I'll let you know if I change. Guys, have a good day. My battery's almost dead. You see Bullseye over there, in case you're wondering what he's doing over there. See how his head's up in the air? He's actually watching the squirrels. We have a feeder over there for the squirrels, and the squirrels are going up and down the tree. He's a pointing dog, so he has a lot of patience to just stand still. Now he's a little lazy, that's why he's laying down. A real pointing dog should be standing, but he's been out here for 3 hours, so I give him the right to lay down. Well guys, like I say, it's a little warmer today. May as well use up the whole battery. What do we got here in Pennsylvania? It's 39 degrees. Inside the kiln I got around 48 because there's no sun at all. You can see that. I don't even know where the heck it is. No sun at all. I do have the kiln blowing. The relative humidity inside the kiln seems very high, but I do have the dehumidifier running as well. I don't know if I've gotten any water out of it. Let me check and see today. No. Nope. Unless it froze when it hit the bottom there. I put this line like this so I knew it wouldn't freeze on its way out. So anyway, so far so good. I really need to get this stuff planed. I wish I had a little bit of extra help, but I don't. What do we got going on here? Sorry about that, guys. Alright, I better stop for the day. I'm starting to screw up the camera. So what I'm going to do is put my forks on the backhoe bucket, or the loader bucket. I'm going to come in and pick these up, and I'm going to take them over to the greenhouse and stack them on that pile you saw me having over there. Guys, have a good one. It's a beautiful day in Pennsylvania. Alright, just to finish up this camera battery. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I ended up with 12 1x6. I finished cutting those flitches that were over on the table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 1x10. So out of one log, 12 1x6, 7 1x10s. Do the math on that. $8 a board foot. This stuff's probably, I get 6 for this at least. And you'll figure out how much that was worth. Have a good one, guys. Bye.